They say that when you reach it up, you should reach back and pull others up along with you. But what if the person reaching for your hand is the same person who wanted to bury you when you were 6 years old? The same person who called you a wicked witch of the West, North, South, and East. Today we are talking about Rita, and we're talking about a cultural tradition that is so toxic it makes victims defend their own masters. I want to take you back to the beginning of Rita's life because you cannot understand her anger without understanding her history. Rita was the last of 6 girls. When she was born, her mother suffered severe complications and passed away. But if you ask any of her family members, they will tell you that what actually killed her was not complications but heartbreak because her husband, a titled chief, had abandoned her in the hospital. He refused to even come and see her because he was told that she had given birth to a sixth girl, another daughter, when he wanted a son, and he punished his dying wife for it. So Rita's mother passed away, leaving behind 6 daughters. Six. The eldest was just 11 years old when all this happened. And this titled chief, he despised them. He called them names. He made it clear they were a burden. But his treatment of Rita, the youngest, the one whose birth coincided with his wife's death, was something entirely different. It was pure, unadulterated, undiluted hatred. Rita's ways, not mine. When Rita and I moved our conversation from email to WhatsApp, I asked her what was the worst moment with her dad. And this is what she sent to me. I'm going to read it out for everyone to hear. She says, my worst moment with my dad was when I was 6 or 7. My dad stumbled into the house. Yes, he's a drunkard amongst other things. He asked me to get cold water from the fridge for him to drink. I brought the water for him. He asked me to kneel so he would bless me for being such a good girl. And I did. I really thought he was going to bless me. Instead, he just upended the cold water over my head and started calling me unmentionable names. Names that implied I was worthless. He called me a witch. He told me I was the reason my mother was dead. Rita said she cried for hours that day. She cried so much that her vision was blurred for days, and she legitimately thought she was going blind. That same year, during Christmas, the girls begged their dad to take them to their grandmother's house just to get away. To their surprise, he agreed. He drove them there, dropped them off, and promised to come back and pick them up before school resumed for the new year. That was the last time they saw him. January came, school resumed, he didn't call. He won't pick up their calls. He sent no money. Their grandma fell sick. They sent him a message, yet he didn't respond. The girls were terrified. They started thinking that something terrible had happened to him. Finally, the eldest sister, who was practically raising them by herself at this point, went back to the city to check on him. And what she found was shocking. She didn't find a grieving father. She found a new husband. Her father had married a young girl. And here is the detail that will make your blood boil, as it did mine. This young girl had been pregnant, and her boyfriend had completely denied the pregnancy. But when the chief found out that the baby was a boy, he swooped in. He performed traditional rites, claimed her as his wife, and officially claimed a complete stranger's unborn child as his own, simply because he wanted to have a male heir. When Rita's eldest sister confronted him, asking how he could throw 6 daughters away for another man's son. He didn't feel shame. He attacked her. She escaped with physical injuries and dirty water thrown all over her. When that elder sister came back to the village, bleeding and crying, Rita told me that her heart went ice cold. She silently swore she was going to make it in life to prove to this man that his daughters were not useless. Their maternal relatives tried to intervene. They demanded that the chief take responsibility for his girls or risk being abandoned when he would need them most. Guess what he did? He laughed in their faces.
Leave me alone. My children will always find me one day, regardless.
So this man believed that because he was the father, tradition would force them back to him eventually, especially when they were about to get hitched. He believed that they would definitely come to him for his blessings because no woman would want to start a home without receiving blessings from her parents. He didn't need to feed them, clothe them, or love them. His title and his gender was enough. Years passed. Rita kept her silent vow. She graduated high school with excellent grades. And her sisters, they were incredible. They worked together, pulling in whatever little money they had to push Rita forward. They paid for her first degree, they paid for her master's, and eventually, Rita's brothers earned her a fully funded scholarship to do her PhD in the UK. Her sisters were her mothers, her fathers, and her protectors. But there was a dark shadow hanging over their beautiful sisterhood. Remember the chief's prophecy that they will always find him? He was right. Four of her older sisters grew up and got engaged. The cultural pressure set in. Their aunties and uncles whispered. Society whispered. And one by one, each of the four older sisters sought out the father who abandoned them. They went back to him to beg for his traditional blessings before their wedding. They allowed the man who threw dirty water on them to sit at the head table and play the role of the proud patriarch, to demand cows and fabrics and money and drinks as tradition demands from their husbands to be. Rita watched it happen 4 times, and every single time it deeply disgusted her. But she kept her mouth shut because it was their lives. Now, Rita is in the UK. She has her PhD. She is highly successful and she met a wonderful man who happened to be a multi-millionaire. He adores her and they are planning a massive, beautiful wedding. She called her sisters and she told them, I want one of you or even my in laws to walk me down the aisle. You are the only family I know. But her sisters said, no. This is the real tragedy of the story. Her sisters, the women who sacrificed their youth to educate her, insisted that she must get her father's blessing. They told her that tradition demands it. They told her that as much as they love him, she cannot bypass him, that her marriage cannot be happy without his blessings. Rita is incensed. She sent me another message crying out of frustration. She asked me, how can I imagine kneeling before the exact same man who asked me to kneel when I was 7, only to pour water over my head and call me a witch? How can I kneel for his God-forsaken blessing? She feels trapped because how does she go to war against the very sisters who gave her everything? Meanwhile, His Royal Majesty, the chief, has heard about the multi-billionaire fiends. He calls Rita every single day now. He sends WhatsApp messages, each of them starting with, "My precious daughter." Has he apologized for his maltreatment? No. He acts completely entitled, as if he orchestrated her success himself. And the precious son he claimed, the boy he threw his daughters away for, Rita found out that he is currently in custody for criminal activities. So the chief's legacy is a criminal record. The entitled father is now clinging to his successful daughters, demanding the respect he never earned. At this point, I would like to bring in my friend Jennifer to get her own point of view. We've always called her the voice of wisdom back then in school. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
So I need your brain on this. Rita is stuck. She hates her father, but she loves her sisters, and her sisters are handing her back to the wolf. What do you think?
Actually, I've been listening to this whole story and my blood pressure is elevated. Like, this is exactly how generational trauma survives. The sisters went back to their father because they were broken. They surrendered to a toxic culture. And now, seeing Rita refuse to surrender makes them uncomfortable because if Rita can get married without him, it means the sisters bow to him for nothing.
Hmm, that is deep. You think they are projecting their own submission onto her?
100%. If Rita says no, I don't need him, it forces the older sisters to realize that they never needed him. They are defending their own trauma.
Hmm. But the chief is calling her every day. He genuinely feels she owes him this traditional respect.
He doesn't want to respect tradition. He wants to respect the multimillionaire in-laws. His golden boy is in a holding cell. He's a failed man looking for a free ride on his daughter's PhD. Rita should block his number yesterday.
But what about the sisters? If she defies them, she's risking ruining the relationship with the only mothers she has ever known.
She needs to tell them, I love you and I owe you my education, but I do not owe you my dignity. She cannot let them force her to kneel in the same spot where her spirit was almost broken.
So what about attending the wedding? Would you let him come to the wedding if you were Rita?
Honestly, I would let him come if he still wants to.
Wait, what?
I will let him come to the wedding. I will give him a seat in the back. Let him watch from the audience. Let him see the daughter he rejected walking down the aisle, escorted by any of my other family member, or no one if they are still insisting on being enablers of nonsense. Let him watch another man's family welcome me with open arms. Let him sit there and feel the weight of what he lost.
So no, I'll walk with him.
Absolutely not. The aisle is sacred. You don't end that by sending a WhatsApp message after 15 years. The person who walks down the aisle should be the person who walked with her through life, and that's her sisters.
That's a really good point.
Of course, it is. I'm always right.
I'm humble too. I think Jennifer hit the nail on the head. We often talk about the abusers, but we rarely talk about the enablers. Rita's sisters are incredible women, but they are functioning as enablers of abuse right now. They believe they are protecting Rita from a cultural curse. But the truth is, the only cause in Rita's life was her father, the chief. Tradition is supposed to be a framework that holds a community together with honor and respect. But when the tradition requires a victim to kneel before her abuser just to appease society, it is no longer culture. It is a hostage situation. Rita, I know you're watching this, and I know your heart is breaking because you don't want to hurt your sisters, but you cannot set yourself on fire to keep their traditions warm. Your father did not give you a blessing when you were starving. He did not give you a blessing when you were studying late into the night. Your blessing came from God and from the sweat of your sister's brows. Do not let them hand your victory over to a man who wanted you to be nothing. If your sisters refuse to walk it down the aisle, walk yourself down. Walk down that aisle with your head held high, with your PhD, holding your success and holding the memory of a mother who would have loved you. You do not need his blessing to be a wife. You are already a queen. I want the comment section to be a place of support today. Rita is reading. She needs to know she's not crazy for wanting to protect her peace. If you have a story of your own, send me an email. The address is in the description. Now, I want to ask you the hardest question. If you were Rita, would you kneel before this man just to keep the peace with the sisters who paid for your life? Or would you ban him from the wedding and risk displacing your sisters in the process? Drop your answers below. Send this video to anyone who is breaking generational curses. I'll see you in the next one.